Well, Galen and Karen Huffman in 1989 started the company in their garage. Galen was a teacher here at the high school, and he found that there was a need for plastics thermoforming, and he started to dabble in it, and they actually built their own machines to thermoform here. And they started doing it in their garage. They started building their own molds, and they started working for small companies here and there. Finally got a large contract with Great Plains, some other larger companies, Wheelchairs of Kansas, and they started to grow, and they've continued to grow. And as that has gone on, we've continued to grow with our sales to the point where, like I said, is now our plants are about 42,000 square feet is what we got now in production, and we have 5 formers. We have 3 CNC routers that cut the parts, and we have 1 CNC router that cuts the molds. And what makes us unique as a company is a lot of thermoforming companies in the state of Kansas and in other states, they just thermoform. We actually take, it's kind of a soup to nuts. If you came to me with a part that you wanted, you draw it on a napkin. Our engineers could put it into a drawing form. You could approve that. We could go to building you a model pattern. We could build you a prototype off of that within about 4 to 6 weeks. Within another 4 weeks, we could have you into production if you approved those. And that's something that not a lot of companies can do. They outsource their engineering, they outsource their mold building, and we do all of that in our own plant. Well, we had as of last month about 25 employees. We've lost a couple due to attrition, different consolidations and things like that. Basically, most of our people are production they run the production machines, they load the plastic, they program the machines to temperature settings, they allow it to the run times. Then they also have to set the CNC routers up to cut the parts so that they're finished, like bolt holes or any kind of finish cutting that they need, and they do that. We have engineers here that actually do the drawing, do some repair work with the CNCs, understand those machines and things like that. So we're able to even service our own equipment. We have some maintenance people here that service the plant and the machinery. And then, like it says, we have several supervisors, production supervisors, mold supervisors that take care of that kind of thing. We don't have, one of our weaknesses, we don't have a good sales staff. We do not have a marketing wing at this time. We've used independent salesmen up to this point, and it looks like we're going to have to go outside and try to bring in our own marketing wing if we're going to grow anymore. 90% of our products here are subcontracted from other companies. They have us build different things for them. We do have some proprietary products of our own that we do sell. They're not a large, this is not a large market for us right at this time, but we're in sporting goods. We have a vault box that pole vaulters use. The University of Kansas and several big universities use it. It's a sliding box that they use in the gyms on a bad day. They can practice their pole vaulting. We have a rebounding piece of a plastic that fits over the goal, which as they shoot, it won't let it go in and they rebound off of it. We've got quite a few schools using that. We have our pet caskets that we're developing right now. We're working on that issue. We've got some other, we're in the kind of a market study of them right now before we go to hard tooling with that product. We've got some dog dishes and different things like that that we're working on right now. But most of it, I would say 90 to 95% of everything is subcontracted to us. We work for Land Pride, we work for Sunflower, we do work for El Dorado and Salina. Let's see here. Hutch Mayrath out of Hutchison. We work for Dunson Langston in Nebraska. We do We did work for Big Dog Motorcycles. We did all of their work for a long time on the outside. Let's say here, it was basically covering the gas tanks, saddlebags, those kind of things, fairings, and those kind of things. I'm not much into motorcycles.
Yeah, me neither.
But anyway, like I said, is we did a lot of that for them up to till when they went out. We do a lot of small stuff for little companies like control boxes. Our niche is more of a, we'll do 25 parts at a run to 500 to 1,000, where a lot of companies won't touch those. They would like 1,000 or larger, and so those are what we do very easily here. We take the small runs and go that way. And so like I said, is our, I would say 80% of most of our work is either in agriculture or transportation, vehicles, or, you know, like I said, is with companies like Great Plains and Landau and Sunflower, and that's usually who we work for. I would say that in the last 2-3 years, almost 100% of our work is word of mouth and brought, or a customer has a new product that they're wanting to do, or a model change. In other words, like with Eldorado, there may be a new model van that comes out, then we would refit for that. And they do wheelchair access vans. So in other words, they cut the floors out and drop them by 14 inches, and we build all of the interior parts for them and some of the exteriors. Well, there was big jumps. I mean, I'll be honest with you. For a while, it was steady. It was small parts. They were able to move. And they were, as a small company, you were able to turn directions. As if a company needed something, we were able to adapt to that kind of thing. As we've grown, some things have been a little more difficult, and new technologies have come out. And so, like I said, we've lost some of our, part of our customers to new technology. I mean, there's new, like twin sheet, thermal forming and other things that we're not able to do right at this time. And so, customers that have needed that have went elsewhere, and that has hurt us to a certain extent. We haven't been able to keep up with all of the technology that's grown in the last few years and stuff. So yeah, but I would say that it's been rocky at times. I mean, we've had some really tough years, and then then it picks up, and the last few years have been pretty decent. This year's been a little slower. We've had a little bit of a downtime in the middle of summer, which is not unusual, but it was pretty slow then, and then it's picked right back up, and we're back at it. So. Well, basically, I mean, the internet right now is such a vital part of companies, and the web page. In fact, like I said, is when I talk with my outside salesman, the first thing they're after me about is our web page and how up to date is it? Does it have information that they need, so that they can tell the customer, take a look at it. They can look at actually our how we make things and what our plants look like, and so forth, so that the customer is more at ease, going, yes, if I give you a contract, you can take care of it, and those kind of things. And then the other thing of it is being we're so remote, we actually use some of our professionals, such as accounting and other things, outside our areas, so that we're able to do that with emails, with the internet, and work with people so that we can, and even with 2 plants, we email back and forth invoices, purchase orders, those things. We don't have to travel back and forth. We're not on the road back and forth so much, and it does save us some time and some money that way. And those are things that we have to have right now, and I don't think if you took them away from us, we'd be in real trouble. I don't know how we survive and stuff. So. It used to be we had to go and physically show the people the drawings. Now we can work, and most of the engineers are using the same programs we're using. So they'll send us a drawing. We can flip it around, take a look at things, make some changes, send it back to them. We can all do this in a day and a half, where it would have took us a week and a half to do it before. And those are the things. And now even the banking, I mean, you can, we do have some of our customers, we send invoices to them, they pay over, the internet and stuff. So and ordering. It's just unbelievable supply-wise. We are so remote out here that some things we don't even know if it exists, so we begin to search on the internet trying to look for it, finding what we can use, and then it's, and you can find the most updated stuff. You can compare prices. You can do that in just a little matter of no time.
Sure.
And so, yeah, and we bought all of our equipment from companies in Ohio and Michigan, and it's all over the internet. I mean, we go physically and look at it before we, but the point is we look at a lot of pieces of equipment before we purchase it, used and that kind of thing. So. Well, I think in the next few years, as we were talking, is that the plastic printing is going to be a big process for us. I think that we were using it in prototyping, and now they're making the machines where they're fast enough to actually run in production. So I think that the production end of it is going to start to take over, and so the physically putting a sheet of plastic in a machine, heating it and doing all that, in especially small parts, is going to go away in the next 5 to 8 years, I would think. So we're going to have to look at how do we do that, how do we catch up with that, and then, like I said, as our employees are going to have to be schooled in how to program those machines, how to enter, all of the information that they need to, and get a good part, a quality part, so that we can send it out. And those things are we're going to just have to grow with that kind of technology. And then the other thing of it is like I said, is a lot of these customers, their engineers, will actually send a drawing of how they want that made. That will have to go right directly into our machinery, and we will have to be able to build it that way. So those things will all play a part in the next 5 to 10 years, I would say. We're going to have to grow, and then we're going to have to look at, maybe do we get into some different types of plastic forming? There's forming of plastic packaging, things for grocery stores, those type of things. There's blow molding, which blow bottles, oil cans, different things like that. Injection molding, do we get into that? Those types of things. And that's what we're going to have to look at and see what we can do to stay ahead and keep growing. Well, I think there's a ton of potential here. I mean, the thing of it is I think that plastics, it gets kind of a bad rap about, the ecology and things like that. But if you look at what we do here, we recycle almost 98% of all the plastic we use here. Every bit of it is, if we have any waste, is sent back to the factory, ground up, and they put it back in a sheet of plastic for us. So we reuse everything. We don't dump. We dump very little product into the ecosystem, and we're looking right now at biodegradable plastics for different products, and they're making, now we're working with a group in Omaha that has a alcohol producing plant, an ethanol plant, and they're using the byproducts to make the plastic, and we're looking at if we can form those plastics, and then they're made from, a cellulose product, so they should degrade in
renewable materials.
Renewable material like that. So this is something we've been developing. Like here, this is a control panel for Wheelchairs of Kansas's hospital beds, and this is a gas well that they put in vans that on the outside. And this shows you, this was a prototype mold that we made out of epoxy. And we built this out of an epoxy, and then we actually used that to make the prototypes with it until we went to the steel. This here is a cover for a winch, and this actually goes to Sweden. And this is another winch cover, but this stays in the U.S. We built these, which there would be 2 of them. And these tubes are seed tubes that run for Great Plains on their seeders. And then we put all of then they hook their tubing in up to that. And then, of course, we started these caskets last year. And we're not for sure exactly what the customer wants, so we're trying to run a market study on it and see. We built one size for right now. if you look, this is a laminated plastic. And they've done it. So in other words, that looks like metal, and it's laminated on there, and then we form it after, you know, after we buy the sheet with the laminate on it. But this has been painted on with a decal. And there's a company down in Wichita that's doing that for us, and they did this and that one, and they did a part there. We were trying to find out, you know, and that is actually the inside of the top of the casket and stuff. This is a tray, and you'll find this in almost every high school. This is a dissecting tray. And so in other words, they would take a frog, a cat, or whatever, and then they would put rubber bands around their feet and hook it here where they would open up. And we actually make a shark tray with an indentation for the fin that they can dissect here. And then they use this as their instrument trays, and we build a clear plastic cover over the top of it, so at the end of the day they can close everything up. And we work with a company in Minnesota that it's incredible how many we make of those. And now we're dealing with a new company in Wichita that has, I don't know if you've heard of the MRSA virus, but the NFL's having a real tough time with the MRSA virus in their artificial turf. They can't kill it. The sun won't kill it. There isn't anything that they can kill it with. There's a company in Wichita that's developed a ozone mixture with water, and they spray it on the field and it kills the MRSA virus. And so we built a cover for their sprayer, and they have one at Baylor University now and one at the Seahawks field, and they're trying it out right now. And we've got it all ready for development and ready to go to hard tooling as soon as they give us the contract to go with that. And they're talking that every field will have to have one of these, that, you know, to get rid of that. So it sounds like it's going to be pretty exciting for us. We put a sheet of plastic. It'll take a sheet of plastic 9 foot by 13, and we put it on this table. And this table raises up, and these are clamps. They've got they're like a clamshell clamp. They'll open up. We'll push this up into there and close it. The carousel will turn 1/3 of a turn, and it'll go into the ovens. The ovens will heat the plastic to about 350 to 375, sometimes 400 degrees. And of course, once you get that plastic that hot, that much plastic's going to want to sag, and so then it will, the next time it will turn another third, and there will be a mold there. And that mold will come up into the part or come down into the plastic, and then we will pull a vacuum on it, and that's what will make the part. So each third turn, we should be pulling a part out, putting another sheet in, so we pull a part out. So in other words, in about anywhere from 7 to 12 minutes on these parts, we're pulling a part out. And so then we have to cut it and rough trim it, and then it has to go to a machine to have it trimmed for the holes and all the different parts that it fit on the framework and things like that. So basically, when we got this machine, we started looking for a machine, and they didn't have one. There wasn't one that big on the market. And a company called us from Ohio and said, "We know where one's at. It's in Phoenix, Arizona, but it's sitting in a pile, and they've stole all the wire off of it." And so I flew down there with my engineer, and they wanted this machine. When it was built in 2001, was a $600,000 machine. We bought it for $30,000.
Now you had to fix it.
The point of it is, and that's exactly right, it came to me in 5 truckloads. It cost me $20,000 to get it here. But the point of it is this is Western Kansas, and that's the one thing I've tried telling people all over where I've worked, is these people can do anything. And so we didn't have a drawing. We had no idea. The company that built it only built one of these, and they had pictures of it while they were building it. So that's the only way we rebuilt it. And my people rebuilt this thing, rewired it. We completely rewired everything. We put new computer works in here, and this thing runs like a charm now. And the company that built it appraised this machine for over 800,000 right now.